How do you do, buckaroos? And how the heck are you? I am John the Whiskey Whisperer, but you knew that. So I did a video earlier live with an ounce and a half neat of my Yellowstone bourbon as I was getting near the end. But I took my last 3 ounces and decided I was going to have a Manhattan. Not about drinking or neat, because I mean it is deserving of being drank neat. However, it does make such a brilliant Manhattan with the flavors and aromas that it puts off. Want to have one more. And there are those that are going to say, well, Tom, you shouldn't use a whiskey of that caliber in a cocktail. And my response always to that is that your cocktail is only going to be as good as the ingredients you put in, just like the food you make. It's only going to be as good as the ingredients you put in. Would I take a whiskey like this and highball it? Absolutely not. I would not put club sodas, 7-Up, Coke in this whiskey ever. But when you're making a booze forward cocktail such as a Manhattan, yeah, you want a good quality whiskey. That's why I don't feel I'm doing it an injustice. At 93 proof, it actually works perfect in this capacity. So I've got 3 ounces of the whiskey. I've got about 3/4 ounce sweet vermouth. I got a few dashes of cherry bitters. I'm kind of changing my bitter game up a little bit. And part of that is because, so this whiskey, they tell you to look for notes of soft cherry. And because of that, it does lend itself perfectly for a Manhattan, especially again using those cherry bitters. So let me see if I can pick this glass up without spilling. Because I did get it rather full. My wife picked these glasses up for me at a thrift store in St. James, Missouri last weekend. I really like them. Because when I saw them, I thought they'd be perfect for a Manhattan. The truth is, they're probably meant to be a dessert cup. And looking at them, that's probably what they're really designed for. But the shape and the lip really lends itself perfectly for a Manhattan. Also, a martini to give you a slightly different take on it. Oh yeah, and you really feel those cherry notes, both from the whiskey and the cherry bitters and the dark cherry I've got floating in the bottom of the glass. But yeah, when I first saw those glasses, I thought, man, that's a Manhattan glass if there ever was one. Because if you go to a bar, they give you that kind of champagne, looking glass, which is fine. I don't own any of those because I don't particularly like them. But I figured that this gives me a slightly different look, but very close. I just figured it lended itself perfectly for a Manhattan. I've been using them for my martinis as well, because I find I spill less. Anyways. Oh, so last week we were off for our 28th anniversary. We just had a great time visiting a few wineries, and so always that weekend after, right? You kind of got that, you know, kind of that let down a little bit. You kind of want to get out, but you really just want to rest, right? You don't want to get out. You don't want to spend any more money. But you kind of want to get a little bit. You're a little restless, but body says no. You, you, you ran it too hard last weekend. You better take it down a notch. Finishing this off, this is a very nice bourbon. It is a tad on the pricey side for a working class guy like myself. However, I will tell you, it is worth every penny. It is a class bourbon. And I would rather spend money on a small batch, small distillery whiskey like this one than, buy some crappy ass overpriced bourbon on the secondary market. Okay, I shouldn't have said crappy. Buffalo Trace, Blanton's are not crappy, but they are overpriced. And I don't understand the mentality, I really don't, of buying on a secondary market. I've never bought anything on a secondary market, quite frankly, because I've never wanted anything that bad. If I've got X amount of money to spend and that bourbon is gone, I'm looking at the shelf, I'm saying, okay, what else is available? And quite frankly, I challenge every bourbon drinker, every whiskey drinker, to look at that shelf and look for your locals, or if not a local adjacent, local-ish, your regional, something close to you, because I know I have a lot of options near me. I have a local spirit, Tiaki Da. And when I want to buy them, I know where I can find them. But I have a lot of local adjacent, Kansas City, Columbia, St. Louis. I'm looking at those as well, even though they might not exactly be local to me. I would rather buy those products than buy some, brand that everybody knows. Oh man, this is a beautiful Manhattan, man. They tell you to look for notes of leather on the nose. They tell you to look for flavors of soft cherry. It does everything it says, but it does do some other things as well. Again, because of those leather notes, those soft cherry notes, I really thought it would lend itself very well for a Manhattan, and it does. But when I drink this neat, I also pick up some maple-like notes. I also pick up some stone fruit. I pick up so many other flavors that really, again, lend itself very well to a Manhattan. And I do tend to go a little, some may remark on the color, it seems a little light for a Manhattan. That's mostly because I go a little bit lighter on the sweet vermouth than others might. I only do about a half to 3/4 ounce, where I've seen some do as much as 2 ounces of sweet vermouth. That seems crazy to me. Some might want an ounce, ounce and a half, but for me, I like it a little bit lighter on the sweet vermouth, just enough to kind of balance it all out. Uh, Gosh, that's a beautiful Manhattan. It really is. That's beautiful. You're beautiful, babe. Don't ever change. 93 proof Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's kind of a resurrected brand from Limestone Branch Distillery out of Lebanon, Kentucky. A Beam descendant. Steve Beam is one of the owners, which is what is why I was interested in the distillery back in 2013 when we visited out there. They weren't doing this product back then. They had a product at the time that they said they were eliminating, which I was really bummed out about, because I'd bought that bottle and I really enjoyed it. It was called Minor Case Revenge. It was basically a sugar shine aged in oak, and oh my gosh, it was just insanely good. And I will admit, though, at the time, I wasn't familiar with such products, right? Shine-like products aged in oak. And since then, I've had several along the way. I've got one that's, again, local adjacent to me, about 30 minutes from where I live in Rogersville, Missouri, called Bub's Distillery. They've got this, again, it's a moonshine-like product, aged in oak, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It does remind me a lot of that Minor Case Revenge Sugar Shine. I need to get back out there, actually. It's been about a year since I've been out there. I had a stretch where I was going out there quite frequently, but things happen. I hadn't been out there in some time. I really need to find a way to get back out there, because the people are just incredible. The owners are very nice. I've never had an unpleasant experience out there. The staff out there has always been welcoming and very knowledgeable of their product. They've got that aged moonshine that I've talked about. They also got a product called Bear Claw that uses some other things. Yeah, if you're following that. But it does taste a lot like that famous pastry, the Bear Claw. It really is good. What I've done upon occasion, though, because I'm not a big fan of the sweetness, however, I will tell you that their Bear Claw isn't as sweet as you might think it is. But I tell you what I've done is I've taken 1 ounce of the Bub's whiskey and I've mixed it with an ounce of the Bear Claw, and there you've got a nice digestive at the end of the evening, because you got to get those notes. It's just a little bit sweet. Yeah, it's a perfect end of the evening fireplace kind of cocktail, man. But I guess what I'm trying to say to you all through all my ramblings is there's nothing, buy the products you like for sure. But I don't understand why some folks get so hung up on having to have certain things in their, their cabinet. Why do you have to have Buffalo Trace? Why do you have to have Blanton's? There's so many other things out there. Buy whatever is local to you. I guarantee you, wherever you live, you've got local products or local adjacent, local-ish, or local enough products out there. Buy those. Give those folks the money. So there you go. That's my rant on that. I remember years ago. I mean, it was hard to even give a Buffalo Trace away. I mean, places would have, yeah, I'm serious. They would have specials on Buffalo Trace. They do tastings, just trying to get rid of the stuff. And now all of a sudden, you got this crazy hype, and you've got this bottle allocation on a good whiskey, but it's not a great one. It's good for the money. It's a good $20-$25 whiskey. But if you're paying more than that just so you can tell people you've got a bottle, well, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're probably one of those folks that had to dress like everybody else and try to fit in high school. I mean, who wants to be that guy? Why do you want to be that guy? Buy the products that are there on the shelf. Never buy in a secondary market. It serves no purpose but to rip you off. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and all right, good guy. Cheers.